Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 29th episode of Cultist Simulator with the Bright Young Thing Legacy playing as David Ellison. It has been a week, but a couple bits of news. The time that this video will be going live, I believe the first two Locksmith Stream, sort of the full, not the beta events, have completed. I have noticed that the Yule weekend has now gone to, I think, 50% off. Obviously, for a lot of people, it's going to be way too short a notice, but I suspect probably that's what's happened here is that probably there are not as many people who wanted to show up on Christmas, and as a result, they've discounted accordingly. So for those of you who maybe are either close to Wales or are in a situation where you can sort of take advantage of a shorter flight, I suspect they're hoping to try and move a few of those tickets. I wish I could go. Anyways, but yeah, I mostly wanted to share that just because we might be getting some news in terms of what it was like. I think there's a couple of reviews that have been coming out as a result, actually. And it is not specifically Weather Factory related. For those of you who checked out the Weather Factory AMA, it is an independent company, which I believe after its first year will now be operating under that new 6th History license. But in any case, it's pretty exciting because it's a really neat idea for an event, and it's one that I sort of hope has some kind of some future. Obviously, you can never know how popular something like that's going to be, and there's always a worry when you see like a big discount for something like the Yule event. But I also know for those who won't be able to make it this year, I believe they are already taking pre-orders, and I think the way the pre-orders work is that if you do the booking now, the total cost of the ticket is actually less. So I think the idea here is, I can't remember what the amount is, but basically the amount that you pay is applied towards your room, and then I think they add in a little bit extra on that, presumably just because it helps them plan things out. I did get to talk with Ivan, who organizes it, and it does actually seem like they need to book the venue Troan quite far in advance, actually. So I suspect probably that's one of the reasons why they did those discounts. In any case, that's probably one of the big bits of news, and I suspect over the course of the next week we will be seeing people talking more about that event. As far as this broadcast is concerned, let me get a quick review of where we're at. So we are clearing out Season of Despair. We've got a Fascination, which I can tranquilize with the fleeting reminiscence that comes up if I need to. Restlessness will come from Season of Ambitions. Right, I have a lot of or actually maybe I just have the one staleness now. In any case, I'm trying to get rid of the staleness. Hopefully we'll be able to do well, if I try to do a reputation painting, it won't really get me that much because of the investigation. We are not currently exploring, so I probably want to send people out, even though I don't have a lot of funds. We are upgrading our secret histories. Oh, hang on. So it looks like I'm not actually sending people out on an investigation. Perhaps I was working on... Yes. Okay, this is making a little more sense. So this should be the Shires? Yeah. The continent. The land beyond the forest, which should be these ones. Yeah, so we're gonna get one more of the... Okay, that's fine. I think maybe we'll wait until... I mean, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, because there's no way we're going to do all of those in time. Okay, I think what I'll probably wind up doing here, sorry to sort of think aloud for so long, I think probably the best bet is to start the expedition, because there's only going to be... yeah, there's not going to be any reputation for me to worry about following this, so... head out to the expedition. We know that the notoriety that we generate is going to be that's going to be gone by the time the time that the investigation's finished. In fact, I'll be wanting to generate notoriety so that I can earn more money with painting. Perhaps what I'll also do is we'll maybe grab some people for the spider door, and that'll generate some notoriety because I'm sending sort of Saliba and Rhaenyra out to get some people. And it's also potentially a source of income for me, but we'll worry about that in the future. Okay. Another way that I can wind up getting some notoriety is to do a painting. So we've done the painting with the Refulgin, we've done the painting with the Rose Pearl Dust. We'll use the Vital Pigment and the Piebald Pigment to make Moth and Grail paintings, when the time comes, of course. So at this point, we're not going to touch the Explore verb. It'd be, potentially something I can sell the Iron Spintra with, but I've sort of said this before. I do like the idea of hoarding these as much as I can, so that when there's an emergency, I can use them when they really count. So, Course of the Heart, that's one of the reasons why I like having the Percussagant around, although with the Callagine or any moth-based one, you do also have the risk of old and happy far-off things. In the meantime, Crocus Hill. The ancient tribes reserved this resting place for one who, by the end, in the service to a certain merciless hour, was more scar than man. They sealed the entrance with binding songs and mortared blood. The one who came here before us had marked the door in the hillside, and here it may yet be, but it is sealed besides with stone and a binding spell. Okay, talk-wise, not quite ready to do the abduction, but I can... Oh, hang on, I can't turn in with Madame Bichet because that'll generate a mystique, so we're going to keep the talk verb empty for a bit. We're not paying for paints because I just need to clear the... I need to clear the, I need to clear the staleness. And glimmering. Okay, so it is a priority for me to clear the fascination after our trip through the stag door. My curiosity is becoming a physical need. My eyes will be thresholds. It is almost time to perform the work and begin the changes, but I must have a left lantern aspect. We do have the option of advancing this. It's just I've had kind of other priorities for the last little while. Alright, our expedition plans for the next challenge. It will consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. So it turns out we actually just need to worry about the door. So I'll be cute and add Enid and Neville instead. Now, we might wind up with some Mystique. We'll almost certainly wind up with Mystique after this, actually. Yep. And some extra fascination for the... Okay. So, there are a couple tricks that I can do here. So let's take the Mirror of Glory. We'll use this fascination as an input. We'll take one of our pawns, and now we'll promote a believer by invoking Lantern. My novice will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. So we still need to use the dream slot with this fascination, but we know we will be able to do that in time. Right, so I was going to hang on to this restlessness. I should at least get a commission. Well, if I get a commission done, then I'm not going to be able to paint the restlessness. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to keep that work slot idle. There was a question that came up in an earlier one, and I sort of feel like I've answered this question a couple of times on my own through the videos, but I'm also not particularly annoyed to answer it again, just in case, the person asking the question goes through. But excuse me. One of the things that keeps Cultist Simulator sort of fresh for me, and it's fair to say that when I was first playing this game, I liked thinking of it this way as well, is I do have a bit of an idea for who this person is in terms of sort of who I'm playing, what I'm doing. And the best example that I can sort of think of would be when... Okay, so this example is probably going to bring up strong opinions about the people involved with this particular acquisition, and I'm only offering it because of the the fact it's a well-known one. But Twitter was recently acquired. Now, generally, it would be fair to say that the CEO does not necessarily survive such acquisitions, at least in terms of remaining CEO. And this can actually create some problems in terms of incentives, because I think it would be fair to say that that particular company was bought at a price above what any, I think, standard or reasonable valuation would suggest it was worth. And so shareholders should probably be very happy that it was bought at that price. But if a CEO is the one who's going to be sort of making the recommendation as to whether or not it should be done, you want to make sure that the incentives are aligned, right? So if I am going to recommend something where I potentially lose my job, if you're putting something in a situation where it's like, okay, the person who's going to be deciding whether or not this acquisition gets recommended is also going to lose their job because of the acquisition, you probably already know what their answer is going to be. And so what you'll traditionally see in these cases are the golden parachutes, right? This is kind of where this stuff comes from. And it's because if you're financially going to be okay, right? If you get the shareholders a good deal, then, you also do very well for yourself, even if maybe you weren't a very good CEO, right? Generally, if people are acquisition targets, it's because people feel that the company can generate more under new management or under a different kind of organization than what's currently being done. Sorry, this is such weird music to talk about these financial concepts with. So the one thing that you don't see these CEOs doing, though, is, so I did just give an example of the golden parachute, where they're financially doing well. But maybe let's also think about like people who get turfed either for cause or lack of performance or whatever. So John Riccitiello at EA, not exactly stock didn't go gangbusters or something like that. You don't see these people go out and get jobs at Starbucks right away. And again, you might say it's like, oh, well, yeah, it's because of the golden parachute, right? They're doing well. And that's where the bright young thing is at the start, right? You've got a very large amount of money from the inheritance. You're kind of going by. But even a few years later, you tend not to see people who have been in those positions go and take what we would consider to be sort of average or mundane jobs. Very often they'll wind up sort of as in some kind of management role at another company. So in the case of John Riccitiello, Unity, the engine that powers Cultist Simulator, currently there. Also generating a little bit of controversy recently, but you can read my articles on that if you want what I think is a reasonably measured approach to that news. But you could also take, I'm giving all mostly kind of gaming and gaming adjacent examples, but you could even take someone like Julie Ehrman, who was the CEO of Ouya, a product that I don't think by anybody's, standards, I don't think anybody would consider that to be a successful product. But she went to Playboy for a while. I think I can't remember if it was specifically gaming related or interactive media or whatever it was. I think she's involved with a soccer club now. But again, like, these are people who kind of their career is this type of management. So even if they're not necessarily in the top job, if they're not a CEO, generally they're going to move on to a certain type of work. And that's essentially, again, this is a more complicated way to explain this idea than it needs to be. But that's kind of how I like to think about this character. I don't see this person, essentially, I think this person, whether they consciously think so or whether they just act like it, Glover and Glover, and particularly physical labor, are beneath them. or at the very least, it is not something that's even considered as an option. And I can also say this for myself. I've had a couple of times where I've sort of looked at the financial state and had a big question mark in terms of like, where's the money coming from? And there's a set of jobs, and they're not even particularly exalted jobs. Like I remember applying to things like Starbucks and other kind of coffee shops around the region. I actually, in one of those cases, wound up applying to a bank, and that was how I wound up working for a bank for a while. So I actually kind of fell upstairs in that particular case. But like, there were a set of jobs I never really considered for myself. I didn't even consider, applying to any sort of construction or, anything like that. I'm also a very sort of like thin guy. So, I just don't sort of seem like the type that would do that sort of work. But the idea here is that whether it's a self-conception, whether it's pride, there's essentially a number of things that people just simply will not do. And while those options are available to me in Cultist Simulator, I do like sort of playing people in a, in a certain way. And one of the consequences for this in terms of the game, like just as far as gameplay is concerned, is it forces me to make particular decisions. It forces me to maybe not be so reliant on certain things. And so in this case here, being a painter and being someone who writes, articles on arcane subjects, that's led to a particular type of financial management. And I'm learning a few things that maybe not learning, but rediscovering a few things that maybe I'd either forgotten or I never really took advantage of before. And so some ways it's a way for me to kind of capture different parts of the game. Some way it's for me to try and sort of realize a particular character. I always tend to find that the most interesting choices are when you start sort of winding up in enough discomfort that maybe you start crossing some of those red lines. And if it wasn't clear before, hopefully that will kind of cover some of these questions that have been coming in about, why don't you just do physical labor? And yeah, it's just because you could theoretically ask that question to anyone who's currently unemployed, particularly someone who's skilled and unemployed. And usually the answer is it's either I wouldn't know how to do it, or I don't really do that kind of work, or just it's not something that comes up. So there was a risk of fascination there, but it was one that I wanted to. I felt it was worth it. The painted river runs from a great chamber near the White Door, far through the Mansus, to its far edge where it enters a painted delta of far cloud. I voyaged half its length last night with a stern-faced captain beneath a rust-red sail. As the clouds rose before us, the sailors raised a yearning shanty and close-hauled the sails to best use the painted wind, and all the while the captain and I discoursed on the secrets of the House of the Sun. Okay, so I gotta get rid of the fascination here. But that's easy to do with the fleeting reminiscence. And again, we're waiting for the last possible moment as far as the restlessness goes. And I would prefer to be earning money right now, but in this case here, this is to preserve the notoriety for future future paintings. And let's add Neville to that. Call upon the Hordened Axe who waits at the threshold. We bear a great power of opening. Will almost certainly shatter this warded door. We get a free turn next turn. Okay, I think I'm going to wind up with Mystique anyway. Ooh, there's really nothing I can throw at it. Okay, well, we'll use one passion. It's nothing else really reputation-wise I can throw in here, so... All doors must open, as all lives must end. This door has found its end here today. He navigates, now you are the map. He illuminates, you were the darkness. He is not compassionate, you will not show compassion. Our compass is knowledge, and our course is glory. Practical disciple, loyal and good with their hands. Okay, so we got a light in the skull from that, which is nice. Now the hope, of course, was that I would be using the talk verb to turn in commissions and otherwise, do other tasks, but that's all on hold because of the investigation. So, do I think I'm not going to generate mystique within the next minute? I don't think it works that way. I've increased my knowledge of the secret histories behind the one we know. Okay. So, Stag Door it is. Study-wise, I could improve the waking chant or the operation of the declining sun. The waking chant requires glimmering and health or a prisoner. Usually I use my health for that. Yeah, I think upgrading the waking chant makes as much sense as anything. There are lessons the anatomist, the dancer, and the shaman all learn. I have not shirked. Apparently we're really good at this even without the passion. All right, yeah. So we're gonna get hit with the notoriety. So let's just acknowledge that and fulfill our commissions and do the remaining ones. The warrior's end. It is almost possible to stand upright in this place, but the air is foul and our lamps burn low. Here is the warrior king staked out at the funeral stone, his bones smashed to keep him from walking. The orbits of his skull are bound with bronze. Okay. Got the bronze spintra, which will help us to repair the mirror when the time comes. I'm a little annoyed with myself for not better timing out how all the mystique and all of that's going to work, but we'll grab a commission from Jannings. I really do need to make some money here, so I might be tempted to do one of the big scary paintings. But in the meantime, let's talk with Saliba. Let's get him to get someone to throw into the spider's door. In sleep, I ran my fingers along the ridged edges of the stag door's scars. Our company it was that shattered it, Gearby says suddenly. Before the gods who were flesh, the mantis was forbidden to mortals. We were the first no. He begins to weep his molten tears. Begins again to weep his molten tears. I wish that we had not. I wish that I had died in the world. I've forgotten what else he said, but I remember the shape of the fissures in the stag door, and for all of today, doors will fear my touch. Okay. Actually, should be using the stuff that's about to expire. You can tell I don't work in a kitchen. Others have been here before us. Power still lingers, and no doubt they used it in their ceremonies. They have taken some of the warrior king's funeral treasures, but left something of their own. So another piebald pigment. Got an icy atmosphere, so I'm going to need to deal with that. We have the bone flute. Its sound will cease. So not as good as the manacles. We have the Book of the Centipede. In the mid-1860s, when Madame Yi presented entertainment based, she claimed, on this book. We have a meteoric bullet. Tainite iron bullets are occasionally dug from the skeletons of unusual beasts across Europe, the Middle East, and India. Someone has been hunting monsters. So again, not as strong as Biddy's blade, but another item we can use. Graydon oil, the precise color of the hours when one cannot sleep. Now this is a pigment, so we're going to be able to do a painting off of that. A little bit less important for us to use it here because we already have a fairly powerful winter item, but you know, you work with what you've been given, right? Okay, let's go. I think I am going to go to Guer Inn. There's a bit of a risk because we are really running low on money, but I don't want to hold off on our ability to do things. So Guer Inn, on a crumbling cliff above a gray sea, the Guer Inn squats until the day the sea comes for it. It receives few guests, fewer since the owner closed his notorious library to visiting scholars. We can reserve rooms at the inn easily enough, but we can expect the locals, if they divine our intentions, to turn nasty. And if the library is still there, it will be well hidden. I don't think we have to worry about any dread for the next little bit. Well, no, sorry, that's not true. The icy atmosphere is potentially going to hit me, but I can probably push that forward by painting it with the Graydon oil. We get winter influence from making the painting, so that's not a permanent solution, but it's one that that might allow me to kick the can down the road if I need to. Okay, finish the manuscript. This would normally be where I turn in with Dr. Adim, but we've actually used up the talk verb. I am reluctant to do this. I think I'll put 1 notoriety and 3 passion, just so I can kind of keep the notoriety off the table. I'll extend the fleeting reminiscence. This should have an impact. Well, that, or I could just go for full notoriety and use the icy atmosphere. Our expedition plans for the next challenge will consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. So first thing we'll do is we'll add Porter, someone for the Watchers. Actually, before I do that, let's add a knock follower. And we'll add health, even though we're risking it. I think I'm going to go for the Trembling Heat, just because we know the Season of Visions. Gearby was weeping again. I scooped up his molten tears in my cupped palm. In my dream, the skin peeled and blistered, but only in the dream. Sorry, it's been a little drier today. I don't know why I was trying to preserve the notoriety, because we're going to get one from Saliba's little job here. Okay, adding our health for practical experimentation. Throwing our reason into the Stag Door again. The Stag Door is the Adept's Gate. To pass it is to be initiated into the first true mystery of the House of the Sun. The head Gearby weeps to see me enter where it cannot, but it must let me pass. The scarred valves of the door grind open. Awake, awake, they're upon us. Nobody's going to believe that. Add Yuzabet. Look closer. Closer still. Closer. Keep looking. Closer. Now close your eyes. Okay, we're not paying rent right now, so hopefully there's some money. Okay, there was the notoriety from the seduction. My minion has returned empty-handed. So now we do Dr. Adim's commission. Okay, that covered... Oh, that did not bad for us. My recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. So, I'm covering rent for the next little while, which is good. We don't have staleness. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the notoriety. I'm actually going to voluntarily generate more, and that's going to be by painting the winter the winter painting. Oh, hang on. I don't have the passion for it. Okay. In that case... Well, there's actually still stuff I can do with that. So let's... I'll let time run by, because we've got a mystique that we can throw in. I've received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. Okay. Yeah, we're getting to a point where I can do an interesting painting. So here I'm voluntarily creating more notoriety for myself. In this case, 1 passion's not the end of the world because we already have 3 here. I'm going to use the chilly atmosphere, and that's just because I kind of need to keep it around at this point. And this part is more, I mean, so it generates the notoriety for me, which is good because I'll be able to make a painting out of it. But this is really more about generating the notoriety so that I can use it for paintings that will earn me a lot of money. And we will take Saliba. At this point, we're just completely abandoning any plans to avoid notoriety. We're gonna take a different approach to our reputation moving forward. I know we are almost done, but let's see what we can do by the end of the end of this work. The painted river runs from a great chamber near the white door, far through the mantis to its far edge, where it enters a painted delta of far cloud. I voyaged half its length last night, with a stern-faced captain beneath a rust-red sail. As the clouds rose before us, the sailors raised a yearning shanty and close-hauled the sails to best use the painted wind. And all the while the captain and I discoursed on secrets of the House of the Sun. Okay, so half a minute for our passion to come back. I will pay up for the paint. This is going to be a weird one overall, but I don't mind risking a bit of cash in this case. I think I'm still going to try and go through the stag door. Yeah, they're considering the evidence now, so we'll see. Nope. We did get by, so I'll add Neville now. I just want to see how the evidence turns out, and then we can call it. Oh, another season of suspicion. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. But there is a season of suspicion coming up. But I might be able to dodge that in a way that's helpful. I'm actually just going to let the painting run. I know I said I was going to wait for the evidence to finish, but... the lore unceasing. I've increased my mastery of the lore unceasing, which we call by its aspect heart, and this time I didn't get an injury, which is nice. So that's 2 Geminate invocations. Of course, I've got the Book of the Centipede, which I want to translate. So let's translate that. How on earth did we wind up with heart? My recent work is considered notable. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. Well, apparently not. That puts me in a tight spot cash-wise, actually. And I got staleness for it, no less. Huh. Okay. So, I think I'm actually going to have to let that chilly atmosphere fall to dread at this point, because I really need, I need some money. But these are all decisions that I will make in a future episode. So, yeah, that's actually well, hang on, no, that's not entirely true, because we've got 38 seconds where I've already paid the rent, so maybe I don't need to freak out quite as badly. Yeah, I'll make the decision in the next video. I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going to go, though. Just a reminder that tomorrow is Tuesday, so at least my understanding for I record these all in a big batch, but the next episode should, at the time that this video is released, the next day should be Tuesday, which means that there won't be another video. We will be back Wednesday. I will decide what to do with my work verb, as well as just generally, I don't know, evaluating where we're at with the playthrough, because I don't exactly feel like I've lost control of things, but it's been a little, I feel like I've been a bit less focused than I should be while playing this, and I think I need to kind of figure out what my biggest priorities are going to be for the next little while. Otherwise, I'm going to get caught by, you know, a dread at a time that I can't afford to have it, or something like that. We're not in a bad spot. Money-wise, we're still a bit short, but there are actually ways to generate money other than just painting. So, but with all of that in mind, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Have a good one.